What's going on, guys? My name's Theoatrix, and today I'm bringing a bit of a different kind of video on my channel, and I'm going to be speaking about the topic of rares being brought into Oldschool Runescape. Now, this is a theoretical and a speculative video, so I came up with this idea a few weeks ago, and I thought it would be a really interesting topic to talk about, and it would be awesome to get some feedback from you guys on what you think. Now, don't take this video too seriously, it's just a suggestion. Now, by rares, I don't really mean party hats, Santa hats, and those things. I'm more speaking about the rare in terms of the RS3 definition, an item that was introduced a very long time ago with a very limited supply and no way of expanding that supply. Essentially, party hats, Santa hats, Halloween masks, in RS3 are really expensive because there's no other way to get them since 2003. Of course, Jagex never intended for these items to become tradable rare items and becoming the most valuable in the game, even surpassing the best armor and the best weapons. But due to their limited supply and no way of bringing them into the game, that's why they became so expensive. Now I'm going to speak a little bit about rares in Oldschool Runescape, and in April of 2013, there was a poll asking if rares, things like party hats and Santa hats, should be added into Oldschool. They did a second poll, and the highest voted option was to drop them at holiday events, and that is exactly what they did. And from this, currently Oldschool does have the same rares in a way that there are the rare items in RS3 like party hats, Christmas crackers, but since the supply is ridiculously high because they just brought a heap into the game every single event, the prices are dirt cheap. Now, I'm making this video not to explain how these rares could become more expensive. Instead, I'm coming up with an idea how a new item can be implemented into Oldschool and have a very high value without ruining the economy very much. And I'm going to talk about the effects of the economy after, but first, I'm going to talk about the mechanism that I came up with that would allow rares to be added into Oldschool. Now, there was a post on Reddit saying, how do you guys think rares should be introduced? And the top comment states that rares are only rares because it's been 10 to 11 years since they were introduced into the game and people lost theirs. They were not rares to begin with and shouldn't be on this server meaning Oldschool. They are simply holiday event items. Now, all of that is quite true, and of course, these items are holiday event items, but it doesn't exactly justify that rares, like a completely separate item, should be in Oldschool. The comment seems to think that the only way rares can be introduced into Oldschool is through a really old item that no one has anymore and can't get any more of. But I have a separate idea of how rares can be implemented, and I think this would work very well, and I've analyzed all the economic benefits and doubts, and that's towards the end of the video. Think of it this way, a Jagex moderator account goes into the real Oldschool Runescape game and has let's just say five of that rare item, not a party hat, nothing that exists in the game right now, five of an item, goes to the Grand Exchange and sells them for a set price of, let's say, 1 bill. Now, from those 5 that the JMod has, no other items can come into the game apart from those 5. Now, as I said, these items would need to be completely new items. So party hats are already a lost cause since there's so many of them. And on top of that, these items should not have any bonuses because that would give them some sort of value. And that's not what we want here. We simply need an item that has a set market price based on its prestige or its looks. Nothing to do with how useful or how good the item really is. Now I'm going to talk about the effects that this would have on the economy. Now, since these items will start off at a set price with no extra supply coming in, the price will remain very stable in comparison to things like the Third Age Longsword, which has gradually crashed over the years of Oldschool Runescape, and will continue to crash every single day simply because more and more are being brought into the game. Now, these rares that are brought in from a JMod account will not crash simply due to the fact that no one would go right ahead, purchase these rares, and then go right ahead and sell them for a lower price. Sure, some people may not be willing to buy the item at the very high price that it starts off with, but there will be a very certain select few people that would, and they will buy it. From there, the person may just go ahead and hold it for a very long time, or they might put an offer in for a higher price. But in saying that, no one would probably buy it at the high price since it was introduced at a set price, and therefore, since no one's going to pay less or more for it, it should remain fairly stable. Now, with the introduction of the item, as I said, there would be a set supply for the item, meaning there would be no effect of changing the supply. If you've done any economics or you saw my economics videos, you'd understand that if there's a huge supply of an item with the same demand, the price of the item tends to be a lot cheaper because there's an overstock. Now, since there's a set supply that will not move, they will start off with a set demand, the amount of people that actually want to buy the item. But as time goes on, more and more people are going to be able to buy the item, and therefore the demand will increase. And over a long period of time, you'd expect the price also to increase. Now, this behavior is exactly the same as rares in RS3. The very limited supply and the more people that want to get one, the price just very gradually keeps increasing. Now, a very key issue here is that one really rich person, SparkMac, could come along and buy out every single one of them and then set the price really high and never sell them until someone buys it at a ridiculously high price. Now, to face this issue, there could be perhaps a limit to how many of these items people can buy. So let's say one a month on the Grand Exchange. But couldn't these players just make more accounts and keep buying them? Well, no. Jagex could introduce some sort of policy that the person's account needs to be a member for a certain length of time, or the account needs to be a certain time old. Now, that, of course, is just an idea. I'm not sure how that would work in practice, but it's just something to think about. Now, another good point of a great effect on the economy is that it would be a massive money sink. There will be a lot less money in the old school economy because a lot of money will disappear into the hands of a JMod, which will then not be allowed to use that cash on his account. So essentially, since that item is on the Grand Exchange, the money that someone spends on buying that item off the Grand Exchange will go straight to the JMod account and will never leave it. And therefore, that's a money sink. Now, let's talk about how it would affect the current price of rares or high-priced items in the economy. Now, in terms of rares, in this case, I'm not going to talk about party hats because seriously, they are not rares anymore. They're holiday items. Firstly, since the Twisted Bow has a lot of use and is very powerful, I doubt there'll be much change to the price of it. But since wealthy players seem to be holding on to Twisted Bows and getting stashes of them to accumulate their wealth, I can see a lot of them moving on to this new introduced rare item with the set price, and therefore they would dump their Twisted Bows into the Grand Exchange, and with a massive dump of items comes a decrease in price because all of a sudden there's this huge supply of Twisted Bows in the Grand Exchange and not that many people wanting to buy them. Now, that's pretty much all the economic impacts I was going to talk about today. All in all, this is just an idea I had, and I thought it'd be very interesting to share with you guys. So, what do you think about this? What effects do you think it's going to have on the RuneScape economy if they were introduced in the mechanism that I was saying? Let me know what you think. I'm very interested to know. But anyways, guys, now it's time for clip of the day. Today's clip of the day goes to SoulxChache, or I don't know how to say that, but he got 2 champion scrolls back to back from Fire Giant, literally one after the other. Now, champion scrolls are a 1 in 5,000 drop rate, so that is unbelievably lucky. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed or you learned something, be sure to leave a like and also subscribe if you're new. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a nice day.